Recording in progress.
Okay, welcome to our second session for today's class. And that class is so important because it helps us to improve our vision of life in a philosophical and spiritual and and mental intelligence perspective. Uh, we are actually learning from last 4 weeks about what is a pain body and why it is important and how does it work and how we can fix it. Mostly things I'm taking it from uh, world-renowned author, my favorite Eckhart Tolle, and Eckhart Tolle's book, The New Earth. That I'm taking many of paragraphs as well for better understanding. And this is extremely, again, foundational and important topic for today. My school, my college, my university, they never taught me, they did not give me awareness. And that's why I became fail in my personal life because of lack of awareness. This platform is providing you the opportunity to fill those gaps which remained unfulfilled, for making better decision, for having awareness and making ourselves to more closer to the truth. And that truth is those truth which are as it is, which we never wanted to know. Like I said before as well, we don't care about truth. What we care about, what works for us. We only go for reality, temporary realities, which we come across in our daily life, on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, on a minutes basis. But we never, and we respond accordingly. But we never respond, we never pursue, we never care about truth because we don't want truth. We don't need truth because truth does not work in my practical life today. That's I believe. And therefore, I am very sad. Therefore, I am unfulfilled. Therefore, I'm unhappy. Therefore, I have a poor relationships. Therefore, I'm more scared and fearful. Therefore, I do not have clarity what's going on. In spite of my hard workness, in spite of I'm being honest with my life, with my relationship, but I'm not successful. That is the cost which I'm paying. And more importantly, I'm scared of death. I'm scared of being die. I don't like to be dead. I am scared of death. Any decision which I'm making, I'm trying to be avoid the death factor because death means death. That is the cost which I'm paying because I don't want to listen truth. This session, this class will help you to closer to the truth and help you to improving your personal, professional, social, and overall life quality that I'm giving you at the moment. I'm helping you actually. And the all research, all things, it's not my personal, but I'm taking great reading the slices of truth from different people's books and bring to you. And you can join this journey. Speaking with the people who are live or with me on the Facebook or who are watching the recording, that you can join me every Sunday, uh, 2 p.m. local UK time uh, for this class as well. So today's topic is extremely important and could be very long. However, we are already doing a long class. We did a first long class. So whoever wants to go early, let me know. Then I will try to squeeze the class or wrap up the things uh, and continue the content of this class for next Sunday, so that we should have a better understanding. But remember, we it's not matter of finishing class early or long class. What matters what I'm getting, what matters what you are getting, and how it is helping your personal and professional and social life, or answering your pending question which were in your mind. That matters more. Whether we do this session 10 minutes or maybe 2 hour long or 3 hour long, that does not matter. So that's why I want you to stay live, be present with me, and I'm sure that we will get something great when we will finish our class today. But if you think that you is taking long, then we can pause this class and we can resume the same class uh, and same topic from next Sunday as well. So are you ready for this session now?
We're ready. Let's go.
Thank you.
Yes.
So thank you very much. I appreciate. Carrying the past. What does it mean that carrying the past mean whatever I am right now, or you are watching me on in your places from behind the screens. We have certain knowledge. We have awareness of where you stand now, what you have in your past, whatever the level of age or experience you have already spent, or of you have lagged behind, that you know. Or if you are not know, at least it is in your subconscious, or it is, if not in subconscious, it is stored in your unconscious somewhere in your mind in form of memories as well. Okay. Irony is, the tragedy is, this unconscious mind, right when I was in my tummy of my mummy, like when my mummy was pregnant and she started to conceive me, that all memories or experiences what my mother was experiencing start to become part of myself. And when I born in this world, that was also part of me when I was a baby boy or baby girl, long time ago. And since that, lot of new things, new experience, new learning, all become part of myself. And that self was never avoided. Even I forget those things, it somehow stored in my memories, in my mind, as an unconscious mind, or in stored in my body in some unresolved energies, or whether I resolve them even, uh, it's still stored in my body. It's still in my memories. Now, mostly people, mostly people have a bad past. No matter, you may have a good and pleasant moments or a good time with a lot of people, possibly when we all were with our parents, we expect that we had a great time. Like daughters are the princes of the family. Boys were like a prince of the family. We used to live as a princes and prince. My mom was like a queen for us. My dad was like a king for us. So we have been living as a kings and queens, prince and princess like of mode previously. However, the bitter truth is my childhood was very bad in many perspectives. Do you know why baby cries, why children cries a lot? even though we fulfill their needs, still they cry. And they cry because they do not have communication experience. That's why they cry a lot. And until they start to learn language, until they start to learn uh, their native language, body language, and then their cry convert into language. So instead of crying and asking the mummy to do this, now they speak, and their cryness is now shifted into the language. But if their cry, or if uh, their experience is bad, for example, if that child is bullied by their parents, by their neighbors, by their schoolmates, or unfortunately that child was sexually abused or harassed or raped or physically tortured by their parents or maybe somebody. Now, we all have a different degree of level of this abuse or bullied factor, little or higher in any level throughout our childhood. Our all wishes or fantasies or goals or childhood wishes were remained unfulfilled, and that we call suffering. And obviously that did all those were did not solved or resolved or fulfilled, and that become part of my past now. And now I'm at this stage, like I'm now 40 or 50 years or 60 years or 70 years. All this past is on my shoulders now. Still, I'm carrying with them. And now, if I'm carrying with them, I cannot make decision. I cannot decision freely. I will make biased decisions. My thinking is still polluted, and that made me diluted. My whole perception is faulty because of past experiences, because of past memory I'm carrying with me. When I'm talking with someone, my prejudice, my biasness tell me how to deal with him or her. When I go to for the interview for someone, or whether I'm being interviewed by someone, my past is carrying with me. My all words, languages coming in my mind, thoughts which is generating in my this factory of mind or brain is all biased under this past, whether I consciously aware or not. And that's why, because I'm not get rid of this bloody past, therefore I'm not free. My goal of this class is to help you to get rid of this past. That is my goal. To give you awareness. Remember, only awareness and right awareness and true awareness can give you this past to be away forever. That awareness we are getting now. And this awareness, you can start also. I made the same, I mean, um a video. I did a class actually around in last summer in June, where I did, maybe Jenny, you were the part of that class as well. It was the healing the past. Healing the past, which I took a lot of content from the book Letting Go by Hawking, Dr. Hawking. Uh, if you want to learn advanced stuff as well, so you can watch this video. You can find this video from my YouTube channel. I think I have recording of this as well. But however, Now I have a advanced content as well, what I discussed last time. But this healing the past is had a different content, different perspective. What I have prepared for you today. So that's why you will have a better and more mature content today as well. I hope so. So let's try to start the past issues, the carrying the past means, and how we carry this past all the time. Is that truth or is just my exaggeration? Uh, and let's try to learn from different stories as well, from the book as well, and from some of the pictures which I prepared for you. And that may be the past of on a personal level or on a nation level, on a global level as well, where we witness, our humanity has witnessed bloodiest history between the countries, between the nations, conquering each other, to invading each other. That invasions on the other lands become right of my for my country, and that have been a bloody past on a collective and global level as well. Past is you cannot avoid. It's very difficult because we have been teaching the past history as a subject, and also biased history from the school. What heroes or heroines, kings and queens stories I have been nurturing in my school were actually the villains of other countries or other nations. But I had to go with them because they were my heroes, and I'm proud of them. That the beliefs, that's the things, spirit I have been infueled by my national curriculum as well. But remember, their heroes of my enemies, are also my enemies. So we don't know what is going on. We have been taught so much biased history, and we don't know what is truth. And actually, I don't want to know truth because truth is what I have been taught by my parents, my media, my books, my syllabus of the school, and that's it. And based on that falsehood, based on that false information, I have been grown up and I'm making the decisions. And still, I think I'm the best person in the world. I think that we are the best nation in the world. I think we have a self delusion that I'm doing best for the rest of my family, for my society, for my country, and for the planet Earth. And that is the mindset of all people in the world, of all countries, whether they are living in 7 continents of the world, they are Asians, they are European, they are American, they are African, all have this delusion. Why? Because they all carry the past of whatever they have spent, they have been taught. But one thing is common, that all they have been out of the truth. All have been away from the truth because they don't care about the truth. They have been learning their old stories as a truth, but they were not the truth. They are the one side of the story. Truth is bitter. Truth which I never want to listen. I will never want to watch. I never believe on truth because this world does not need truth. So, cut long story short, uh, these past influenced me all the time, on a individual level or on a country level. So let's try to read and learn from the book. And I'm starting this reading from story of two monks, two mystics, we call it, um, in which, okay, because of the short of time, I will not narrate the story. Let's read directly from the book. So I would ask Jenny if you can start the reading, and we'll go ahead.
Carrying the past. The inability, or rather unwillingness, of the human mind to let go of the past is beautifully illustrated in the story of two Zen monks, Tanzen and Aikido, who were walking along a country road that had become extremely muddy after heavy rains. Near a village, they came upon a young woman who was trying to cross the road, but the mud was so deep it would have ruined the silk kimono she was wearing. Tanzen at once picked her up and carried her to the other side. The monks walked in silence. 5 hours later, as they were approaching the lodging temple, Aikido couldn't restrain himself any longer. "Why did you carry that girl across the road?" he asked. "We monks are not supposed to do things like that." "I put the girl down hours ago," said Tanzen. "Are you still carrying her?"
Thank you. It's a great reading. So this is a quick story and the opening of this important topic that we describe, we respond based on what we just have passed. And this is the teaching of highest spirituality, that we must live in our present. And our present must not the part of any past. Why? Because the past is the hoax. Past has gone. Your new reality, your creative reality is only the present. You live to live in present, make the decision based on your just present. And actually, not the decision. We should just live with the present, with now moment. And now moment does not need your any decision. It's just you are just living with present, and that is the message of not to follow the past. But unfortunately, our whole world, our whole school system, our society, our country, all have built on the past, and that's why we have a terrible social system. So now imagine what life would be like for someone who lived like Aikido all the time, unable or unwillingly to let go internally of situations, accumulating more and more stuff inside. And you get a sense of what life is like for the majority of people on our planet. What a heavy burden of past they carry around with them in their minds. Can you believe that? Just like the monks, even though the monks can't avoid this past, but they also forget to not to carry the past. Just we learn in this story. And because the past lives in our memory, but the memory in themselves are not a problem, because we can keep the memory. That's how we need to take the past and make involve in our present in a positive way. But that is a very tricky thing. That is very tricky. That's he is saying. Eckhart Tolle is saying, in fact, it is through memory that we learn from the past and from the past mistakes. It is only when the memories, that is to say, thoughts about the past, take you over completely and they turn into a burden, turned problematic, and become part of your sense of self. Now, what I am, look at, let's see this thing in a different way. who I am. I'm giving just an example. I'm a woman. I'm I'm Australian. I'm a mother. I am Jew. I am a president of that organization. I am and I am and I am. I belongs to that race. I'm a black. I'm I speak let's say French. You see what I am defining, whatever I'm saying, I'm that, and all labels, these all labels are past part of your past, isn't it? Now, whatever you are making a decision or how you are trying to live will be based on all these labels that has you put on a condition. These all are conditioned you are living with. Whatever you are saying that you are, your all identities are putting you in condition, and you cannot make any decision for future or for your present beyond this past. Did you see how you are hardwired with your past? All labels are your past identities, which you and you think that you are this, and this old past is yourself. How you can become free? How you can say you took a independent decision? How you can lie with yourself? You cannot. You cannot make independent decision. You cannot live without any bias. All labels you saying I am, all are past. You were born in that country, you learned that language, you born in that royal family, you did, you were president in that company, you you followed that religion. All are the past. But how you can say you cannot, you have a strength, or you can live without these things? You cannot. Don't tell a lie with yourself. And that is the main problem. Because we carry those old burden of past labels, identities. Therefore, Eckhart Tolle says, your personality, which is conditioned by the past, then becomes your prison. Your memories are invested with a sense of self, and your story becomes who you perceive yourself to be. This little me is an illusion that obscure your true identity as a timeless and formless presence. So actually, he's saying your true identity is you are timeless, you are formless, but you try to become form, you try to follow the time, you all the time do opposite what you are not. He further says your story, however, consists not only of a mental but also of an emotional memory. Old emotions that is being revived continuously in your mind, as in a case of monk who carried the burden of his resentment for 5 hours by feeding it with his thoughts. Most people carry a large amount of unnecessary baggage, both mental and emotional, throughout their lives. They limit themselves through grievances, regret, hostility, guilt. Their emotional thinking has become their self, and so they hang on to the old emotion because it strengthens their identity. That's fake identities, temporarily identities. How we can avoid past? How I can say I am a superman or I'm a super lady which never carry burden of past? I'm talking about the burden of past, not the positive past. Positive past, if we want to carry, we should be on a higher conscious level. But we are not. We mostly live with the lowest conscious level or little bit higher than lowest conscious level. To take the past as your strength, you must have a higher conscious level, which is a reflection of the God. Further, see, Cartole is saying, because of the human tendency to perpetuate old emotion, almost every carries in his or her energy field an accumulation of old emotional pain, which I call the pain body. That is the definition of pain body. Eckhart Tolle is saying. So, what is the pain body? Let's reread it. Because of human tendency to perpetuate old emotion, almost everyone carries in his or her energy field an accumulation of old emotional pain, which I call the pain body. And that we are addressing. We can, however, stopping adding to the pain body that we already have. We can learn to break the habit of accumulating and perpetuating all emotion by flapping our wings, metaphorically speaking, and refrain from mentally dwelling on the past, regardless of whether something happened yesterday or 30 years ago. Just flapping the past. And he gave the beautiful example in the last class of the ducks. The difference between the mind of ducks and the mind of human. How human mind have been trained by making stories and making dramas, and how the other creation or creature, they don't make stories because their mind are not trained like this. They just flap their wings and release the old negative energy and let's go to the future. Let's live in the present and become the part of present and live with the present. He further says nothing ever happened in the past that can prevent you from being present now. And if the past cannot prevent you from being present now, what power does it have? It asking the question. It asking the question from me to you. What power does it have? Can we answer it? The same thing is narrated on a superficial level by Stephen Covey, because I think all my audience is mostly are trained or familiar or have a literacy of 7 habits. And in 7 habits, habit number 1, be proactive, actually tells us about how to avoid this past. You are not product of past. Stephen Covey is saying again and again, you are not product of past. Come on, you are not product of past. Why? And why he made this statement in the very foundational habit number 1? Because of our social mapping, because of our paradigm, because of the lens through which we see the world is all based on past, or 99% based on past. And based on that past, I made I live with this whether, and that creates determinism, that creates pessimism, that creates negativity in me. Why I cannot go? Because why I cannot become an engineer? Because my whole family have been become a doctor. I cannot become engineer. Why you cannot become millionaire? Because my whole family have been poor since generation. I cannot become a millionaire. Why you have a high blood pressure? Because my whole family history is a high blood pressure patient. So I cannot be a normal blood pressure person. Why you have a this lifestyle? Oh, because my forefather and grand and great maternal grandfather since then all have the same lifestyle. Why you think like this, the life in this world? Because all people have been going thinking. My dad used to think like this, my mom used to think that, and I am also like thinking like this. You see, it's all our conditioning based on our past. And more ironically, we even go further and we say it's a part of my genes. It's hilarious that my whole uh, problem which I'm facing is because of my genetic problem. My genes have stored this. And how? Because these genes are transferred with my parents and from their parents and from their parents. Therefore, it is a genetic problem. And that goes from ages. And that's why and if we do not understand this problem, then it becomes and turn into a global genocide. Do you know that why the millions of my brother and sister Jews, they were killed brutally by Nazi forces in Germany in the leadership of Hitler, Adolf Hitler? How he can command to kill millions of my brother and sister Jews? How is it possible? I even cannot believe that this could have happened in my just recent history. Just like I think back 70, 80 years ago or 100 years ago, it happened. They took millions of Jews to the concentration camp and they did. Why? Because of the beliefs. What the beliefs that Adolf Hitler and his party used to have based on their past, not only their past, but the past of the Jews' history. Because Jews cannot live without their past, so we have to remove them. And they did a genocide. And I can't go inside the story, the horrible stories which I can. And therefore, today, Jews are far ahead in their development and becoming a great nation, no doubt. But they are more insecure also because we have done with them, and that's why they are very insecure. Sometimes they have to do lot of precautions in every step, and we make racial stuff against them as well. We do. Why this? Because of past, because of history. That all become our part. So this social mapping is no more different from us. So let's try to read this paragraph from Stephen Covey's The First Habit. I took this paragraph from the book The Seven Habits because it's part of our this topic, and we should have spiritually and also business point of view why these paradigms are so incorrect, and we should take it. So I would ask Cynthia if you can read it.
A reflection of the current social paradigm tells us we are largely determined by conditioning and conditions. While we have acknowledged the tremendous power of conditioning in our lives, to say that we are determined by it, that we have no control over the influence, creates quite a different map. There are actually three social maps, three theories of determinism, widely accepted, independently or in combination, to explain the nature of man. Genetic determinism basically says your grandparents did it to you. That's why you have such a temper. Your grandparents have short tempers and it's in your DNA. It just goes through the generations and you inherited it. In addition, you're Irish, and that's the nature of Irish people.
Yeah, continue, please.
Okay. Psychic determinism basically says your parents did it to you. Your upbringing, your childhood experience essentially laid out your personal tendencies and your character structure. That's why you're afraid to be in front of a group. It's the way your parents brought you up. You feel terribly guilty if you make a mistake because you remember deep inside the emotional scripting when you were very vulnerable and tender and dependent. You remember the emotional punishment, the rejection, or the comparison with somebody else when you didn't perform as well as expected. Environmental determinism basically says your boss is doing it to you, or your spouse, or that bratty teenager, or your economic situation, or national policies. Someone or something in your environment is responsible for your situation. Each of these maps is based on the stimulus response theory we must often think of in connection with Pavlov's experiments with dogs. The basic idea is that we are conditioned to respond in a particular way to a particular stimulus.
Thank you. It's a great reading. Thank you very much. So, you see that how the Stephen Covey is also worried about the phenomena of past and how it conditioned to making a decision for a better present. That's how it is doing. So let's go to the further level. That, like I just gave you the example of the genocide of my brother and sister Jews in back century, but also it influence on negatively on other on a collective level as well. So I would ask, although we have so many other paragraphs, but I think one or two paragraphs should be finished, and we will go for the next Sunday class. So I would ask Mike if you can start reading for these two paragraphs, and then after that we can hang up this session.
Individual and collective. Any negative emotion that is not fully faced and seen for what it for what it is in the moment, it can arise. It arises, does not completely dissolve. It leaves behind a remnant of pain. Children in particular find strong negative emotions too overwhelming to cope with and tend to feel them. In the absence of fully conscious adult who guides them with love and compassionate understanding into facing the emotion directly, choosing not to feel it is indeed the only option for the child at that time. Unfortunately, that early defense mechanism usually remains in place when the child becomes an adult. The emotion still lives in him and him or her unrecognized and manifests indirectly. For example, as anger, anxiety, outbursts of violence, a mood, or even as a physical illness. In some cases, it interferes with or sabotages every intimate relationship.
Thank you. Carry on.
Most psychotherapists have met patients who claimed initially to have had a totally happy childhood, and later the opposite turned out to be the case. Those may be the more extreme cases, but nobody can go through childhood without suffering emotional pain. Even if both of your parents were enlightened, you would still find yourself growing up in a largely unconscious world.
Oh, thank you. It's a nice reading, great reading. Thank you. You see how it's a painful and it's a revealed story, things we just come across as a child. Because the child age or child phase, being a child phase, or in a phase being a child, is extremely important for the child, for future of the child. And emotionally, every child has a suffering. Even though if that child is born in the king's or queen's house, literally king's and queen's house as well. If that child even born with the golden spoon in the mouth, that child will suffer because of this body pain. Or his suffering become the part of body pain for his when he or she will become adult or the later stages of his or her life. That's how it is powerful. That's why the children or the babies, they cry, they become more emotional because of unfulfillment they have more. Uh, if you are more interested in this thing, I would ask if you can read the books or the writing of Freud. If you know, then he is the founder of modern psychology, Freud. The Freud, I have a couple of books in my shelf as well, but I did not get the chance to read them. But I have stored them for my research as well. And he actually talks about the identity crisis or especially the suffering, uh, not as a childhood, but also their suffering is based on sexual exposure as well. Uh, and I'm not. I don't want to go in his teaching because it's not part of our topic, but mainly and largely his writing is circulate around the phase of childhood and how the childhood and suffered childhood reshape your destiny and future. So we and because it's a topic of past, your childhood is your pasthood. Your child, when you were child, is your past, and what you are today is largely is conditioned when you were child, and that is very important for your awareness as well. And why we should be careful about when we are making a child through sex. Uh, we should think again and again. It is you are going to born a child, and that is so important that if you can care that child wonderfully, proper care, intellectual care, spiritual care, physically care, economic care, educational care, then you should born the child. Otherwise, you will just add a fuel to his childhood or her childhood. Because today, even we, we are living in a very healthy and wealthy society in London, but our children are still in suffering. Our children are still in fear. Last week I attended the school parents meeting where they did invite all parents, and they flashed the news that our all children of schools are in some sort of scaredness because of a lot of factors, because of post COVID or during COVID what we did, and also because of their emotional expectation as well, because they are not forgetting their past as well. So there are a lot of reasons the children are still suffering. So it does mean that your wealth or your strong economic condition, they cannot contribute to reducing the suffering of children, because this is the matter of spirituality, because this is a matter of awareness about closer towards truth. Since our societies are not closer to the truth and we don't want to follow and know the truth, therefore our children are suffering a lot than before. Even who have the food, even who do not have a food. Children of royal families are also in suffering. Children of people who living in Afghanistan or in Pakistan, they also suffering, who do not have um a knowledge where their next food will come. So, because this whole topic is belongs to the past, therefore that's why it's so important to know about this thing. Our ongoing topic for the collective issues are, like I discussed before as well, that the Shia Muslim historical pain is transferred from centuries to century till today. Um, as a collective pain we following within Muslim community. Um Historical biasness or prejudice is transferring between nations and between religion as well. Have you ever think that the Christianity, there are so many similarity between Christianity and Islam or between Muslim, but in spite of so many similarities, they still uh, are not good friend of each other. Why? Because of historical crusades war happened between Muslims and Christians for over 200 years. They lost it. And millions of people, they died of these crusade wars, between those wars. And do you think that the hatred between from both nation, from both religion, they did transfer to the next generation till today, and that become part of our collective body pain. Why the Muslim do not have the good friend like America or England, or why the American Christian, they don't consider Muslim as their good friend, but their friends are different what they were supposed to, in spite of too much similarities between their religion, because of this body pain, because of this cruel past. Let's go to the further recent history about First World War, Second World War. Millions people of different nations, they died. They were killed. German, Turkish, Americans, Britons, French, Spanish, Indian, Japanese. All nations were brutally killed, massacred in First World War, Second World War. Do you think that their pain, sufferings is not transferred in present time? Can you believe that the atomic bomb which was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan like 100 years ago, or maybe less than 100 years ago, when the thousand, I mean, millions people were suffered in those atomic bomb dropping, two atomic bombs dropped. They did not suffer, or their suffering did not transfer to the next generation in form of collective pain body. Even though I understand there were so sincere efforts were brought by Japan to cool down their nation, to help them, to restore them, and also from America that they were in guilty when they dropped the atom bomb. But in spite of this forgiveness or for this acceptance, do you think this pain body, collective pain body has resolved this past? No. Because if we were in guilty and sincere guilty, we stopped to make atomic bombs. But did we stop our nuclear missions to make more atomic weapons and missiles and atomic bomb? No. How many atom bomb of big nations have? How many atomic weapons Russia have? How many atomic weapons China or Japan have, or Britain have, or even forget about how many atomic bombs Pakistan have or India have, and how many other countries are in race of getting this nuclear technology because of their fear of their enemies. Why we are not investing our resources to building our welfare of our nations on a global level, but we are investing big amount of their national budget in making only wars and and weapons, fulfilling our army arsenals, every country. I know the two years ago India have doubled their budget for their army because their enemy Pakistan have made more missiles who can take the atomic bombs and attack strength are more stronger than in the past. That's how it's happening. Do you think our world is not in collective pain body? Why we are violent more than before? And how we can stop ourselves? In all part.
What I want to know is where is all this money? I don't want to turn it into something political, but I often wonder where is all this money coming from for all these poor countries to do all of this missiles?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the foreigner factors are there as well. But overall, any rich country or foreigner powers are funding to poor countries to build these missiles or technologies. But I'm talking about overall planet. We all are part of this planet. But we are in constantly increasing our pain body rather than to resolving our pains. Forget about what about the woman. We are living in 21st century. We are more enlightened and open-minded, and that's good thing. But have we successful to stop men to rape violently against women, or sexually killing of the children for violent sex or gang rapes? Have we stopped ourselves? And women are more insecure also. Then we claim that they are more safe. Not only in poor countries, but also the rich countries. They cannot. Every single minute and seconds, many women are being raped in America. On the record, statistically. And we claim that we have given the rights to women. This gender racial discrimination will increase or is increasing, add to the fuel to the issues of gender war between men and women. So what I'm talking about here is overall we are very, very extremely in pain and suffering. And therefore we are at the verge of destruction and we do not know how we can do. Sorry, yes, Denise, it's too long, I know. I will stop here and we will continue this episode further because we do have other valuable things for this as well. I appreciate your patience and your eagerness to learn these things. I appreciate you. Uh, and we will continue from here till next. Thank you very much for today's class. And if you can join my YouTube channel and follow my blog as well. Last night also I post an article on God, related to the God. I would request you can read this article. It may help you to understanding and more clear vision about the God and how we can take it as well. So thank you so much, and I will see you next Sunday with the more new content. And we will try to definitely be on time. Just half an hour each session. I will try to make. But again, more importantly, it's not matter of 2 hour, 3 hour class. It's not matter of 30-minute class. What it matter, what I'm taking away from the class, and I'm adding in my personal life. That's more important, which is more.
It was very long but very informative.
Thank you very much, Cynthia. All right, thank you.
So you have a good rest of the week.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye, everybody. See you next
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, Meritim.
Thank you. You're very welcome.